Hello Internet, welcome back to another episode of Stoneblock 3. I hope that you enjoyed the little time lapse at the beginning. I needed to go through and clean out my quests because I did a bunch of work and I got a bunch of quests and they'd just been sitting there. So we went ahead and we cleared them all out, we got them all out of here, and we are now ready to go forward. But before we do that, I'm going to take a quick little tour around here, and I'm going to show you all what it is that I have done. You probably weren't able to tell from the quests. So we're going to start over here. So I hinted at this a little bit in the last episode with this honeycomb wall here, and I've also gone ahead and put some lanterns up just for decoration. They don't really generate light when you use the seared lanterns and you put stuff like honey or this has molten amethyst in it, because I think that looks really cool. They don't really generate light though. You got to use something like lava or glowstone or something like that to get it to actually generate light. But I'll show you what I've got in here. So the first thing you're probably going to notice and wonder what the hell is going on is there's sky up here. And this also like locks in the fact that this world is stuck at noon. That sun never moves. But yeah, if you couldn't tell from way up there at the top of the screen, this is an object called a literal sky block. And it's really easy to make. You just use stone and amethyst, and you get these blocks that you place them down, and it just gives you the skybox. And you can put them on the you can put them anywhere. You can put them on the floor. You can put them on the walls. You can put them in the ceiling. I've used them quite a few because I think that they add a nice touch. I think to especially to a stone world like this. The only downside to them is that they don't actually generate light. It would be nice if they generated light based on the day-night cycle. But that's what this crazy wall pattern is here. So I've got these shroom lights in here because they actually blend in really well with the honey and honeycomb and honey blocks. And we've got some different birch logs in there. Kind of make it look like it's a bit of a beehive inside here. And of course, this is where I am harvesting honeycomb. So we've got pretty much a vanilla harvest setup going on here. Composter set to fullness of 5 with a comparator pointing into another comparator that's coming out of the beehive or bee nest, I think these are called. So once that nest reaches a fullness level of 5, it'll cause this comparator to activate, which will trigger the observer, send a redstone signal down to the dispensers, which will then shear the hive and collect the honeycomb. And there's a hopper clipped into the block underneath the beehive. And of course, after I did this, I realized I should have put the hopper into where the hive is, but this seems to be working just fine. They feed down here to these oak drawers. Down here, I've got the renders set. I've got the renders turned off on all my drawers because that seemed to be what was killing my frame rate. So I went through and I turned all the renders off, and it really did help my frame rate quite a bit. But anyway, and then we just decorated the rest of the room to make it look a little bit more friendly and happier. And I keep thinking I could let the bees out instead of keeping them trapped in there. But I don't know. I haven't. The next thing that I want to address is the train door that's right here in the wall. Kind of appeared one day. If we go down in here, I'll close too. Got this funny little hallway with, you know, did some decorating. Leads us out into outside, kind of. Again, I used the literal sky blocks for this. I kind of decorated the wall a little bit to make it look like we're kind of in a forest. At least that was my intent. How well it actually pulled it off. And right here we have a villager breeder. You can go up here and say hi. Might be sleeping. Yeah, they're sleeping. So the villagers are still like, they have like a day-night cycle that they follow, and it's very strange. We also can't affect it. Like if I sleep in a bed, it won't change the villagers. They're still going to be sleeping. Now obviously I did install easy villagers. I think I mentioned that at one point earlier to make it a little bit easier to manipulate these guys so I don't have to mess around with minecarts and boats and all that. So when I breed them, I could just pop them here into this chest, and you see I've got a few of them ready to go for when I need something going further. And of course the trapdoor is just there to stop the water from spilling out and making a mess. But if we head inside this house here, we can see that I've gone through, I've decorated, I've got villager workstations kind of scattered around. They don't seem to be able to access the barrel here, so I'm going to have to move that and put that someplace else. But I've gone through, just done some decorating. You see I've used more of the sky blocks to create kind of an outside view. You can't, like, it is technically noon, so you can't really see the sun, but you can kind of see outside. At least it looks like it. Of course, I have a big empty room here that I haven't done anything with yet. Put a blaze burner in place of a fireplace, because I think that looks nicer. Kind of gets you that the grate effect over the front, and these don't set things on fire, which is always a plus. But if we head up the stairs here, we actually find the villagers. We also find a huge library, and I am super happy with how this ceiling, or with how the roof of this room turned out. I absolutely love it so much. In fact, if I disconnect my camera here, I can kind of come up and show you a little bit better. I love how this turned out. I don't usually do roofs, and they always end up looking terrible, but I think this one turned out really well. Again, I used the literal sky blocks to create an actual sky view through the different skylights and windows that I have up here. And if we just go outside, you can see that, yeah, there's nothing else out here. We've got shroom lights scattered around to produce light. But more importantly, if I can find where they went, because they like to wander around, we got our villagers. So I've gone through and I've done a little bit of villager trading, and I've also named the villagers. So like this guy sells silk touch, he's got my unbreaking, he's got mending, he's got efficiency. They always like to come up here and cluster in this corner, and I don't know why. They cram themselves into this corner, and it's very strange. I was a little bit curious as to how I could stop iron golems from spawning, because that is always kind of a concern if you let villagers loose like this instead of putting them in their boxes. And I just decided that the easiest way to stop them from spawning iron golems, don't give them any beds. I know, I'm mean, but I think that's why they're clustered. It doesn't make any sense why they're clustered in this corner, because like the breeders over there, they're over here. You'd think they'd be clustering in that corner to try to get to the bed and the breeder. We head back outside. Oh yeah, random crafting table. Always got to have those. I like this. I want to point this out too. If you put a slab up here with a door, you can have a button. You can reach from both sides. So you only have to have one button to open the door instead of having to have two. Yeah, I also tucked a couple of the sky blocks here. Just for, why not? They're kind of fun. All right, the next thing that I did is I did some decoration and upgrading of the mob farm. So I made it, the idea that I was going for here was kind of like a little natural cave kind of a look. So we've got the moss, we've got cobblestone, got some vines on the wall, some mushrooms. I didn't really want to have to put all these paths and stuff down here, but the mushrooms were spreading. We also went ahead, and you can probably guess from this ender inhibitor that's here, upgraded the actual farm itself. So now the kill chamber has the mob mashers going, and these are fully upgraded with all of the sharpness and luck. I believe I also put beheading on there too for some reason. You don't really need to, it just gives you mob heads, and only vanilla heads too. But if we come up here, we can see that we have altered the, I hope this is bright enough. Actually, hold on. That's better. Turn the lights on. That way you guys can see what's going on. So I didn't change the overall layout of the mob farm. It's still your standard 4-platform spawns. The only things that I changed is I raised the roof up by a block, so we can now get endermen spawning in here. And I installed these mob fans on each of the platforms to blow the mobs off the platform down into the tracks to get them to go a little bit faster, because a lot of times, sometimes they'll just stand around, and of course spiders will always build up in the corners. So these stop that from happening because they're also full height. They go all the way up to the ceiling to blow. And then I've got fans down here in place of the water streams, so the endermen will get blown down into the hole. And then of course the ender inhibitor up here at the top and the ender inhibitor at the bottom stop the endermen from teleporting out of the farm and causing problems elsewhere in my base. Go ahead and turn that back on so it'll keep running. Then we've got a vacuum hopper or a absorption hopper. I always want to call this a vacuum hopper, but it's an absorption hopper to pull the loot and the XP. You just saw a little bit of it go in there. XP obviously gets put into a tank. We've got a fluid pipe, so it's putting some of the XP into there, and I've got a drain tank here, obviously, to pull the XP out of myself. And then some of it is also going into this XP solidifier that is creating solid XP and going into that drawer right there. A little bit easier to store it that way, plus you can use these XP jelly babies for things later on. Then we've got the items going into this barrel, and you can see that I've got some stuff that I need to take care of. So this is kind of the overflow barrel for the stuff like these xylophones and broken weapons and tools that I don't want or care about. They go in here, and then I've got a item pipe going to a trash can, and this is, if I can get in here and activate it, this is just filtered. It's set up for all the different various bits of crap. Alright, keeping going around, I upgraded my little furnace right here, although got it all the way up to an obsidian furnace. I have also got a speed upgrade in it. So it's burning more fuel, but it goes really quickly. Eventually, we'll be able to upgrade this all the way to netherite, which I will probably do just for the status and prestige of it, because we're not really using this setup as much anymore as we were previously. Going around, obviously I still got my chickens here. This is my blaze rod storage. Moved it over because I went and bred up an obsidian chicken. So I now have a chest full of obsidian here. The chicken's in the box because this is full. I needed an obsidian chicken because so much of the recipes that we're getting into now use obsidian, and the only way to get obsidian, you can use ice charges from Thermal Series, which we can't get because we don't have access to blizzes. They don't spawn anywhere around. We can use Ars Nuevo, which I have not done. I've started, but I have not gotten deep enough into to be able to figure out how to get this water essence. And of course, both of these still require you to have lava, and right now the only way that I have to make lava is with a fire plow. So I have to manually fire plow a piece of stone and then harvest the resulting obsidian. It is a pain. Alright, we can create molten obsidian, but that has the same problem. We still need lava and water. Water is easy to get, but lava is a pain. If you crush a piece of obsidian, you get a piece of obsidian dust, and then have a 75% chance of getting your obsidian back, which is cool, and you can turn these obsidian dust into obsidian. It takes 4 of them to make one block, but you still have to have the obsidian to start with, and the 75% chance to lose your obsidian means that when you make a block, you will end up losing the obsidian. So you have a net 0. Like, you don't actually gain any obsidian. We can, of course, wash magma blocks, but these are not really easy to get. That's the same as the other one. We can't make a blast chiller because we don't have access to ice. That's not anything. Chickens. Again, obsidian dust, that's not anything. We can technically do the pure daisy with a blaze mesh recipe for Botania to make obsidian, but I mean, I have a video on how to automate your pure daisy with applied energistics, but it's such a pain in the ass to do, and I really want to try to avoid trying to automate Botania as much as I can. I really dislike how anti-automation this mod is. Anyway, moving on, we cannot make a stonework factory because we don't have the ability to make these advanced machine frames, which require netherite and pink slime, but we can get to pink slime, but the netherite is really the issue there. Lastly, of course, we don't have access to Project E, and we don't have the entropy manipulator. And the problem with both of these is also that it can't be automated. I still have to do each one myself. So I might as well just fire plow and pickaxe everything. So the easiest way to get it is the obsidian chicken, which, had to go through and breed up some more chickens. I really hate how dependent this pack is on chickens. I've really been trying not to use these stupid things, but every time it seems like we keep hitting a dead end where I have to make a chicken. But anyway, so I have a few more of them now here in my chest. They are just going to live in there. Obviously, also made these. I believe I made these on the previous video, but these are budding prismarine, budding certus, and budding fluix. So the fluix and certus are obviously, those are easy to get. We've been collecting the dust for this for ages, and then there's a really simple in-world recipe that you can do to get the dust, and it's just redstone charged and the nether quartz, throw it in some water, you get the dust, and then from the dust you can make crystals. Again, you can do those really easily. You can also do them in an enrichment chamber. So I just used those and I made the budding so that I don't have to keep manually creating it from the certus. And the same with this. This is mostly just for the crystals, because we've got plenty of dust, we've got plenty of sand, so we could just make them in the enrichment machine here. And then, of course, the prismarine shards you get by haunting lapis. And we've got lots of lapis, and we've got access to soulfire, so it was easy enough to just go ahead and haunt that. And then from there, we can make the budding out of the box. All right, I also... I made a sterling dynamo out of thermal series, mostly for the quest, but also to see if it was any better than the power generation setup that I currently have. And the answer is that it is not. It is very slow at producing power. Yeah, here you go. It's 40 RF per tick. And it chews through coal. Not super fast, especially because it's kind of holding steady because of all the energy that I've got going around. You can probably tell I've got a flux network set up now, but they're not great. Okay, move the breeder over here just so I can auto export wheat seeds into it, make it a little easier to get the breeding done. Made a thermal generator from power, again to try to see if that was going to be any better than the power generation that I have going on, and again the answer is that it is not. This produces 60 FE per tick. Yes, I know that there's the higher tier generators that will produce more RF per tick, or FE per tick. It's the same thing, really, just different names. The problem is that in order to get to those higher tiers, it requires a big investment into the mod and requires access to a bunch of different resources that are not necessarily that easy to get a hold of. But this is just set up back here. This has just got a little create pipe back here, so it's just a bent pipe right here going into the water to pump the water in, to give it the water, and then of course it's sitting on top of a lava source, so that's how it's generating its power, and it's going into the flux network as well. This is a create Tesla coil, which is generating, which I use to make the charged certus quartz. I don't think I showed that before, but that's how we did it. Coke oven and a very full creosote oil tank. Eventually I will find something to do with this, but we haven't really gone much into immersive engineering other than just the coke oven. Here's the flux controller for flux networks. You need to have one of these in order to do wireless charging as well as to do smart charging. Obviously my alloy kiln, that's made a few things using that. I think I was making brass in this because it's a little easier to do in the alloy kiln than to try to mess around with blazes, which of course we still don't have access to. Alright, you guys have seen all of this stuff. I had some fun with some create toolboxes. I do kind of like these, especially this ability where you can just do that. Like, I like it. It's fun. I've got a flux storage there to store some excess energy. Made an immersive engineering toolbox. They still have not fixed the tooltip for it, or the Walia tip item name has not been fixed. That was broken in 1.16 as well. Upgraded from a ladder to an elevator system, so I have an elevator here, and then another one that I will show you in a second. And of course, we set up applied energistics. So now I have a cable spider mess happening down here. I like applied energistics. I really do like this mod. I like it a little bit better than refined storage. I kind of like the challenge of figuring out how to get channels and how to make sure that you have enough channels for everything, and where you can run your cabling to make sure that they don't connect. So you can see like here I either would have had to use a ton of these quartz fibers, or I just dyed the cables 2 different colors to keep them separate. I like that. I like that aspect of the mod. So that's kind of why I prefer to use applied energistics when I have a chance. And of course, my power generation has all been moved back here. So all of my mechanism heat generators are back here. We've got lava surrounding and encasing the whole thing. There's lava on the other side. There's also down underneath it. And I discovered something that was a little bit interesting. So these up here, they're not showing it now. Here, this one will show. Okay, well, maybe not. But these up here only generate like about 60 FE per tick. But these down here are actually generating 75. Or 78. Which is interesting that the ones on the bottom are actually generating more than the ones on the top. There's nothing else different about them, other than the fact that they have another machine sitting on top of them. So it's got to be some mechanic inside mechanism that causes them to count as being hotter when they have another machine right next to them. And that's actually what caused me to move. I discovered that by accident, and it caused me to move all of my heat generators into this area here, and then just feed everything into a flux plug. This is connected. It doesn't look like it is connected, but it is actually receiving power. And then I've got an ME interface down here, because they've changed how interfaces work. So obviously in this version of Applied Energistics, we're not using interfaces to provide patterns for auto crafting. Instead, we're using this new block called a pattern provider. And it works basically the same as the old interface if you're used to the 1.12 version, where you put a row of patterns in. It's got the inventory that goes back into the system. The difference is that it doesn't have those config slots on there. So you can't hold items inside the pattern providers anymore. But now, inside the ME interface, they still have those slots, and they've added these config tools so you can directly manipulate how much of a stock you want to have in the interface, which is very nice. So you don't need an export bus anymore into this, because you can put the crafting card right into the interface, and you can put the items in here and then set how much you want to hold. So obviously I've got a stack of gravel, dirt, sand, because those are all kind of obnoxious because they have to go through the hammer in order to make them. I threw in a stack of blank patterns just because I keep running out and forgetting to order more of them, so I figured I'd have them in here and ready to go. But I also have a stack of glass for pretty much the same reason as the blank patterns. And then we just have a storage bus on top, and then the interface is directly connected to the network. So it'll pull those items in, the storage bus lets us pull them out, and I've got this set to extract only, so it isn't trying to put stuff in while the interface is also trying to pull stuff in. I got the rest of my assemblers down there. Need to expand that a bit more, because this is maxed out on channels now. Over in this corner, we have the mechanism stuff that I've begun setting up for auto crafting. So we have the infusing factory, we have the smelting factory, and then we have the diamond auto hammer. And again, for everything, we've just got them set up with some item pipes to return the items. Mechanism in this new version, I don't know if it was available in older versions, but in this version you can set a face to both input and output, which is amazingly convenient. And then you can turn auto eject on, so now we don't have to have an import bus or a chest or item pipes or anything going anywhere. So this guy just, the items go in, get processed, they go right back into the pattern provider and back into the network. It is so nice. The infusing factory is still as much of a pain in the butt as it's always been, because of the infuser material that we have to deal with. So this one we actually do have the we have pattern provider. Let me go to this side. The pattern provider is here underneath the chest, and then the item pipe pulls the items out and tries to put them into the different sides. Fortunately, the machine will only accept raw materials and infuser materials into the correct sides so they don't end up getting swapped on their own. And then I have the export set to, just see it back there. The export is actually going underneath it, and that goes straight into the pattern provider so we don't end up with stuff getting looped in the chest. All right, and then if you want to see where this elevator goes, it goes into my attic. So you can see I've started setting this up. It's kind of like the spellcaster, you know, wizard lab kind of a thing. Got some candles for light. What the hell is going on here? Okay, anyway, I made the scribe table to try to figure out how it works. I could not figure out how it works. I made the imbuement chamber. I did figure out how that works, mostly. I made a bunch of these source jars to try to see if I could collect some source, and it wasn't working for the longest time. Then I figured out I needed to build these source links. And I had them set up down in an empty space down below, and they weren't doing anything. You can't click on them, you can't interact with them in any way. And I moved them up here, and now all of a sudden my jars are full, and I don't know why. So I'm going to have to read up on this mod to figure out what the hell I did that causes them to work up here where they didn't work down there. But this is literally as far as I've gotten with this mod, and then this is just like an attic. All right, I have another door, and you can probably guess what's going on in here based on what you can see above the door. But if we head out, I like these doors. If you click one, they both open. It's really cool. Yeah, so this is another room. I actually did this room first, and then I did the other one. I kind of like the other one a little bit better, but I'm not enough to bother changing this room. But yeah, bees, they are generating honey, and the nice thing with create is we can just straight pump the honey out. We don't have to mess around with observers and comparators and all of that. You can just slap a pump to the back of the hive, and once it fills up, it just pumps the honey straight out, pulls it over here into this tank over here, which is a very large tank, and it's getting full too. And then I've got a what's this called? A drawer over here, so I can actually just make honey blocks. That's where I was getting all the honey blocks that I have here. So I've got this turned off right now. There's a clutch right here, because we don't really need more honey blocks, although I might have to turn it back on because the honey tank is getting full. So the other thing that I've done down in this area, as you can see, I've added more steam tanks down here, because we did need more. I needed a lot more kinetic stress capacity, and the only way to get more out of these is to make them hotter, which I can't do without blaze burners. So the other option was more. So more is what we have. We've got quite a bit of stress now in the network. We're still really close to the edge here. 62% utilized, so that's going to have to get improved again. I got rid of this mess that was right here, and I have moved it over there, and I've also wired it into the ME system. You can tell from the cabling all up above it. I also wired in the machines that I built previously. So this right here has got a pattern provider right here, teach it how to make currently just the andesite casing, but I'll also be able to do copper and brass through this system. It puts it into the barrel puts the metal here, and puts the wood here. This drawer is locked. That's one I didn't turn the item display off on, but it should be okay. I've also got that one filtered. I don't believe I filtered this one. Okay, I just filtered this one to not take the oak log, so anything else will go into the hand. Yep, and then otherwise it just works exactly the same as it always has. It's just now hooked up to the ME system and automated. And then, of course, this drawer takes the result out and puts it into the pattern provider. Over there, in order to fit that one on, though, I did have to alter how this setup worked to get the precision mechanisms. So now these drawers are connected to this controller, and the controller is then connected to the ME network, rather than having each drawer connected directly. So this export bus just has the 3 items in it, and then a crafting card as well to make the cogs and large cogwheels. Eventually I'll set up the precision mechanisms. Actually, I should add them to the interface to just maintain like half a stack or something, because the downside to the precision mechanisms is, of course, that there's a random chance for junk to come out of it, which means that you can't just auto-craft the mechanisms, because if you do that, you won't necessarily get the result that you're after. Anyway, these are my ME processors. I've got one for each of them. I think I showed this. Yeah, I showed setting this up in the video a little bit, but I've got it set up so that we've got a silicon press over here. This is just full of silicon. There's an export bus on top that is exporting the silicon, and it has a crafting card, so the system knows how to make silicon, and then this keeps that full. And then, of course, here, you've seen all this, and it's just wired into the system. There's a pattern provider back there that provides the items, and everything gets distributed where it needs to go. All right, this mess, I didn't mean for this to end up complicated and cluttered, but I don't know, this is just, this is a view into my brain, to be honest. So, anyway, I've got the different recipes, so we've got items that can be made with the deployer. So the cogwheels are here, and obviously that goes, and they all go onto a central belt over there. We've got washable items here, filtered, and this is an attribute filter. Pull it out and show it to you. This is an attribute filter. These are fun. You can set them to certain attributes. So right now it's set to block items that can be washed. This is deny list, can be washed. So any item that can be washed will not be allowed to pass through this funnel. So sand gets on here, gravel gets on here, anything that can be washed, we can just pop into here and it'll wash it and then suck it up. I don't have any patterns in there. But we have that for the future when we need to do stuff manually. I also went ahead and set the mill up here, and then of course both of these, everything's dumping onto this central belt. Same thing here, I've got a mechanical saw. This guy's nice because when the items drop onto it, it just zzz, and then goes that way on its own. I don't have to have funnels or anything else around here. I don't believe I have anything set up in here either. Oh, I have the shaft set up, okay. I've got a mixer I've got a mixer right here. So this is set up to make andesite alloy, so I can automatically make andesite alloy. So the fans, the faster you run a fan, it doesn't alter how fast the recipe processes. It just changes the range on it. So I've got a speed controller here to drop the speed of these two fans down to its minimum, because I don't need it going I just need it to blow right there. It doesn't need to go any further than that. So I've got it set down to its minimum to reduce the stress unit impact on my network. And then on this side we have our smashy and a pattern that allows the system to make all of the various things that you can smashy. I like doing the paper with this because it's a little bit more efficient, and we don't end up where it's like, okay, I need one piece of paper for a recipe, but now I have 2 extra pieces of paper, but now I want to make a book, which means that I need to make 3 more pieces of paper for the 1 piece of paper. Yeah, so this just does them one at a time. Plus it's fun to watch stuff get smashed. We have the haunting set up here. This fan is running backwards, which is why the soul fire is on the other side, because it's connected to the other side of that fan. Then over here we have the crushing wheel, and this one, this guy here is actually why I've been holding on to these things. So I've got this export bus here set up to automatically export these clusters. So when they go in here, see, they get crushed down, and then there goes the results. And every so often, we didn't in that case, but every so often we will get a small bud, and you can actually craft those small buds into mediums, and then the mediums into large, and the large into the actual clusters. Eventually, I would like to get to a point where that craft is being done automatically, but I haven't gotten there yet. And then, of course, this is just set up for the various dusts and things that you can do with auto crafting. Then this is set up to make honeyed apples, so I can eat something other than baked potatoes. I've got an exporter here that's exporting honey from the honey farm over there through the ME system into this tank, because that was easier than running a pipe all the way over here from create pipe all the way over here. And then, of course, this will put the apple in there, squirts it on there, goes in here, and then this barrel returns it to a convenient pattern provider. So that's all the create stuff that I have, and I can expand and add to this as I need to, because I did run a dense cable over here, so we have plenty of channels for everything. In fact, I'm already using 2 sets of channels because that's maxed out, and then this has 3 more on it. Then back in this convenient little space right here, which like it really is kind of funny how this worked out, because if you look, like there's my plastic setup, here's my sheep, and I had this space right here that was just kind of empty. Like I didn't know what I was going to put in there, and I'm like, oh, let's put Botania in there. At least for now. Obviously, I'm going to end up expanding. You know, there's a lot more to Botania. I'll probably end up going up or down for that, but I'll still have it in the same general area. And we decorated, of course, with some living rock and put some grass down. Got the pure daisy going, apothecary, all that good stuff. I have been generating mana through these endo flames and using this coal coke. We'll just throw it over there. I could do an automatic setup for this, but I don't really need it right at this time, right at this moment, so I'm just gonna, it's fine. When we really get into Botania, then we'll have to do some automatic mana generation, but I think I want to wait to do that until I've got the ability to use the cake flowers. The cake flowers are a little bit more convenient, and Applied Energistics now actually does allow us to do fluid crafting in the molecular assemblers. It's a lot more convenient. It'll just use fluid from your system rather than having to make a bucket first, which is something that supposedly refined storage does, but I couldn't figure out how to get it to work when I played Stoneblock 2. No, when I played Cave Factory, I couldn't figure out how to get the fluid crafting in refined storage to work. But anyway, and then of course I have the ME crafting terminal, and now that we have some mana, we can make the single most important item in the game. In the game. No argument. The tiny potato. I love the tiny potato. Hold on. Very important. Very important. You must go armed into battle. All right, you have fun. Guard my mana. All right, so what I would like to accomplish for this video is I would really like to actually get in here and do at least one of these dungeons over here. So we've got this one right here that's like directly underneath my tunnel, and then of course this one is above it. But this is a little bit larger, and this might be more of a like a live stream type deal. So doing this dungeon might be something more that we would do at a live stream, because it looks like it's going to be a little bit more involved. There's like a whole thing that you can do. But this one right here, we should be able to just knock out in a video. And if I remember correctly, these have spawners inside them, and they have at least one chest. There might be several chests, as well as being filled with mobs, because it's, you know, one of the only spawnable places in the map. But I think what I would like to do is I'm going to head over there, and I would like to do that in this video, and then between videos, I'm actually going to go back out here to the Nether area, and we're going to start collecting netherrack. So one of the things that we can do with netherrack is we can crush it with a hammer. Right, hammers. We can crush it with a hammer, and then we can crush the crushed netherite to get raw cobalt, which is good, ichor crystals, which is interesting, and debris, ancient debris. And then we can take the ancient debris and we can melt it down into molten debris, and we can, once we collect enough molten debris, we can actually make netherite scrap out of it. So this is going to be how we're going to get our netherite. But as far as I can tell, there is no easy way to generate netherrack. We can get it through duplication with Botania. Obviously, Project EO let us do it, and we can do stonework to get it, but none of these are really accessible to us, at least not right now. And this one we need netherrack to start with. Plus, we have to get up to the conjuration catalyst, which is, yeah, that needs the Elven Gateway, so that's still a ways out. So the easiest way right now is going to be to collect a bunch of netherrack, hammer it down, run it through the crusher. To accomplish that, I have made this. You can blame Tango Tech for this. If you're not watching Tango's Create series, you should. But Tango came up with the basic idea for this. His is ridiculously massive, but should be all that I need. But we're gonna take this. I will take this in between episodes. I'm not gonna do it on stream. I might record a little bit of it running, but I'm gonna take this out here to the Nether ring, and I'm gonna run it just like this way, and we're just gonna collect a ton of netherrack, and then I will take it back and we'll start processing that. But we'll save that for later. For now, we're going that way, and we're gonna try to face down a dungeon. Hopefully I don't die. Alright, so I set this beacon up here in the map to tell me where in the area the dungeon is. So if we come up here and then we can use our little cheaty cam, we can see that the dungeon is right down there. So we're going to do what you should never do in Minecraft and dig straight down to it. But, I'm a big fat cheater. Like, I am a cheater. Okay, I admit it. I like to cheat. I like things to be easy. I don't like things to be hard. And one of the easiest things that we can do is we're going to pop down this mega torch, which, if I'm correct in how this works, it should stop the mobs from spawning down here. You can see on the map, we've got a ton of them already in here. But with this mega torch down, no more should be able to spawn, in theory. Obviously, we got to get rid of all these that are already here. So in order to do that, I'm going to actually run a couple of chunks that way to get out of range of this, and then we're going to come back and see if it worked. Alright, here's the mega torch. Let me have a little bit of potato. And map. Okay, it didn't work. It was worth a try. I'm going to take you with me, though, because it might work if we get a little closer. Anyway, let's go ahead and dig ourselves down. I didn't bring. I have a torch, a bow torch. I did not bring it with me. Don't really want to just jump down there. And oh, you can just put them in the air. That's fun. Alright, anyway, again, the mega torch should stop more spawns from happening. In theory. But I don't really know how well. What? How rude! Could you not do that? Get the fuck out of my face, would you, damn. Stop! Okay, that didn't work. I don't... this. Alright, let's try to be a little bit smarter about that, because I was dumb. So, first things first, I need more armor. Alright, time to run back over there and get my stuff back. I swear I'm not procrastinating going back over there to get my stuff. I've thought of like 18 different things that would be a really good idea to have on me. One of which is going to be a couple of immersive engineering crates so that I can actually pick up my stuff. Not to mention take all the loot with me, which if I'd have thought about, I would have realized would be a good idea to take the first time that I went over in that direction. But yeah, I'll talk about everything that I've got once I've got it, and see you in a little bit. All right, this is kind of unplanned, but this is kind of the perfect opportunity. So what I want to make are these wooden storage crates, and we can do them with treated wood planks. In order to get the treated wood planks, we need to do this, where we take some planks and we put a bucket of creosote oil in there. Normally you'd have to do a whole thing with buckets and all this other stuff, but if we just do in code, we can actually change this option here, where it will try to use fluids instead of items. So we've got the bucket in there, in the pattern, but because this is turned on, when I actually order some of these, it should just use the tank that I've just now hooked up to the system. So if I go in here and I ask it for, let's just say 10, it'll end up making 16, and it can see that there is the oil in here, so it just works. Supposedly you can do that with refined storage. If you know how to do it, please explain it to me. I couldn't figure out how to do it. It's supposed to work just like that, but it doesn't. 10 of them. And again, it sees that there's creosote in here, so it'll just use it. And it's using the spruce and it's using the oak to make it, because all that's fine. It's even going to use the archwood. I don't know if that one will work, but I guess we'll find out. There we go. And the big reason why I love these is because while they're empty, or if the contents are identical, they will stack. When the contents aren't, then obviously they won't stack, but as long as they are, they do. So, okay. Now I'm ready. Now I'm going back. Alright, so here's the plan going down here this time. I brought a feral flare lantern with, and these things do a thing where they will put invisible lights around them, so we don't have to worry about. Hopefully it'll work. Where it'll light up that chamber down there. I think we have to get closer for it to work, though. I did also bring my torch bell along. And I went back again and I got some ladders. I think we can, yeah. So this, I don't know what mod does it, but we can just place ladders by clicking the ladder. Get that torch out of here. I can actually just hold this, so as long as I don't run out of ladders before we get to the bottom. Awesome. And I did place that mega torch, so maybe it worked and it, did I bring the perfect number of? Not quite. Okay, well, I'm hearing a witch, so let's see if we can, there we go. Okay, let's place this flare lantern right there. That should start putting lights down in there if it works the way I think it does. But we can also use this to shoot some torches down to light up some of the area down there. Shit. The torches don't do damage to mobs, I don't think. I don't think they do. They might, but I need a mob to test it with. Here, you'll do. It looked like he caught fire actually for a split second. Hi, nerd. And he can't figure out how to get to me. Where's that damn witch at? Kind of what I'm worried about, because she just murdered me last time. You're still there. I have my stuff back, thank you. And I can use my real bow to shoot you in the fucking face. Yes, you heal yourself while I shoot you, and then you will die. Alright. Zombie down there. Oh, I think the flare, it is putting lamps around. It's just very slow about it. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. I should have made like a real bow instead of this one. Ooh, spider. I don't want you. I feel like I'm playing Vault Hunters again. Ow. course, I'd be dead 1,000 times over if this was Vault Hunters. I'm not good at that style of gameplay. Okay, I think... Can I get down here and, like, use this to get down? Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Alright, we have a skeleton spawner here. Which I'm just going to put more torches. That's... You shouldn't be able to put a torch there, but the bow did it anyway. If at some point we decide we want to do something with this spawner, we can actually come back here and use a mechanism cardboard box to pick it up. But I don't know that I will do that. I do want some of these glowberries, though. Let's see what's in here. We have a bucket of milk. We have cold silverfish shard. Don't know what that's all about. The rest of that is garbage. And here's a new one. What is... Wow, that's some stuff. Yes, please? Like, I mean, this stuff... This isn't... Like, this is... I had to fight... I died for this stuff. I'm gonna... Okay, yeah, there's some... This is why I brought this along. These along. So we're gonna pop that down. And then... I brought some water buckets to try to use the... My idea was to use them to get down here. Into the room. Obviously didn't end up doing it. Okay, need potions. What is it with the milk buckets? Alright, I want that. I want that. I don't care about those. Sure. Capacitato. How are you doing? Because I'm a potato. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't really need that. Actually, no, I don't need those. I have melons. I will take the redstone and the slime and the sand, though. The rest of it, not so exciting. Okay, and you can't put crates inside crates, in case you were wondering. Yeah, but now those two, and yeah. Is that it? Is there anything inside these? No. Again, I've been playing Vault. I was playing Vault Hunters. I stopped, but yeah, the Vault Hunters would absolutely have hidden stuff inside these pillars. I want some of the... I want a glowberry. I want at least one glowberry. If I get at least one glowberry, I can grow more glowberries. There it is. Again, it's like I was playing Vault Hunters. You'd think I would have remembered to bring, like, blocks. The vines honestly make parkouring a little difficult. Okay, you. I want you. Did I get it? Ah, we got the glowberry. All right. We got one. That's all we really need. We can use that to get more. So now I need to get out of here. I'll see you back home. Alright, so now we are back safe and sound with my loot safely in the chest back there behind me. I am going to go through everything and get it all sorted out and figure out what we're going to do with it. Like, I'm kind of excited for this Mana Steel chestplate. I know Mana Steel is like one of the best types of gear that you can get when you have access to Britannia. It does less armor than Diamond, but it does... some other cool stuff, and I think you can enchant this stuff a lot more than you can enchant Diamond or Netherite. But in any case, before we go off to do any more adventuring, we will need to make like a proper suit of armor, because clearly the diamond that I'm wearing is not enough. This was just enchanted with an enchanting table rather than using, like, actually putting Prot 5 or Prot 4 and unbreaking and mending and all those good things on there. So we're going to go through and do that before we tackle the next dungeon, the actual, this, whatever they call this. In fact, we did also complete a quest. We found ourselves a spawner dungeon, so the other one they call a stone dungeon. So that's the one that we also want to do, and we want to go through. Anyway, let's grab the reward from that. Impact hammer. I don't think I want that. But yeah, we'll do that stone dungeon probably in a live stream. So if you are interested in seeing that, first of all, leave a comment here on the video letting me know that you would be interested in watching that. And then head over to my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/sillysnowfox, and hit the follow button so that when I do decide that I'm going to stream, whether it's this or Warframe or some other things, we've got some collaborations that might be happening at some point in the future, you'll get notified by Twitch when I go live. You can also follow me on Twitter at sillysnowfox. I do try to make sure that I do stream updates and life updates and things like that on there, so you can keep an eye on what's going on there. But otherwise, I am going to do some reading on the Ars Noevu. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering that name. I'm going to do some reading on that magic mod. I'm going to collect some netherrack, and we're going to gear ourselves up to be able to tackle that stone dungeon. Until then, I hope you have yourselves a wonderful day, wonderful evening, whatever time of day it is for you. I hope it is going well for you. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment to let me know your thoughts and opinions. Have yourselves a wonderful time. Look forward to seeing you next time. And whatever you do, friends, don't you dare go hollow.